ada yang setia melindungi.
Harapan-harapan itu sekarang nyata.
Vaksin untuk Indonesia bersama SLAM.
Setiap Jumat jam 8 malam. World News, Senin hingga Jumat live jam setengah 12 malam.
Japan's Olympic superfan Kyoko Ishikawa visited South Sudanese athletes on Thursday as the countdown clock for the Tokyo Olympics begins. In Japan, cancellation pressure grows daily on Tokyo, and the IOC as more questions arise about the risk of bringing 15,000 Olympic and Paralympic athletes from more than 200 countries and territories into Japan, a country that has been largely closed off during the pandemic. Hello, good evening. You're watching World News. I'm Kania Sutisnawinata. We are live from Jakarta. And here are tonight's top stories. Dozens of anti-coup protesters held a flash mob rally on Thursday in the capital city of Myanmar, Yangon. In West Virginia, U.S., when you get your vaccines, you can also win lottery prizes, from scholarships to shotguns. A pair of Indonesian athletes, Fredrik Leonardo and Kiromal Katibin, broke the world record for speed climbing in the Speed Climbing World Cup held at Salt Lake City, Utah in the U.S. In the first race of qualifying rounds, both athletes, debutant Kiromal Katibin and Fredrik Leonardo from Pontianak, Indonesia, claimed a world record as they went up against each other in the final. The 3,000-strong crowd knew they were about to see a masterpiece. Leonardo raced up the wall, beating his teammate, and broke the world record for the third time that day. Swinging from the safety rope, the 24-year-old punched the air in celebration, while Katibin clapped his teammate in appreciation. Dozens of anti-coup protesters held a flash mob rally on Thursday in Yangon, Myanmar's most populous city. They flashed the three-fingered salute as they chanted pro-democracy slogans. Resistance to Myanmar's military rule remains widespread 4 months since civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi was removed from power on the 1st of February. Quickly dispersing flash mobs have replaced mass demonstrations in previous months because of the deadly response by security forces. The association, which keeps a detailed tally of arrests and deaths since the military takeover, says more than 4,400 people are in detention, including 133 who have already been sentenced. The head of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, Filipe Lazzarini, visited residents of Sheikh Jarrah in East Jerusalem on Wednesday. Lazzarini said he was committed to oppose their removal. Lazzarini's visit came as a show of support to the Palestinian residents of the neighborhood, where several families are facing the threat of eviction. Israel calls it a real estate dispute, while Palestinians and rights groups says the case highlights discriminatory policies that are aimed at pushing Palestinians out of Jerusalem to preserve its Jewish majority. Israeli law allows Jews to reclaim such lands but bars Palestinians from recovering property they lost in the same war, even if they still reside in areas controlled by Israel. The Sheikh Jarrah issue was one of the triggers for last month's 11-day war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. UNRWA called on Israeli authorities to halt the displacement and protect the rights of Palestinians in Sheikh Jarrah. A bomb test ripped through a minivan in the western part of the Afghan capital Kabul on Thursday, killing at least 4 people. No one took responsibility for the attack in a neighborhood which is largely populated by the minority Hazara ethnic group, who are still mostly Shiite Muslims. The Islamic State, however, has carried out similar bombings in the area, including an attack on 2 minivans on Tuesday that it killed at least 10 people. Shiites are a minority in mostly Sunni Afghanistan, and the Islamic State affiliate has declared war against them. In a statement late on Wednesday, IS said they had also bombed an electrical grid station on Tuesday, leaving much of Kabul in darkness. Salvage experts attempted to tow a fire-stricken container ship that had started to sink off Sri Lanka's main port into the deep sea. The vessel had been loaded with chemicals. In a bid to avoid a possible environmental disaster, authorities in Sri Lanka attempted to tow the sinking ship off the country's main port. The ship has been damaged by fire while carrying chemicals on board. The Singapore-flagged MV Express Pearl started sinking Wednesday, a day after authorities extinguished a fire that raged on the vessel for 12 days. Efforts to tow the ship into deeper waters away from the port of Colombo failed after the ship's stern became submerged and rested on the seabed. The ship's operators, Express Feeders, have said the fire destroyed most of the ship's cargo, which included 25 tons of nitric acid and other chemicals. A 14-year-old girl and a 12-year-old boy broke into a home, found weapons, and repeatedly fired at officers. Police said they ran away from a juvenile group home. A Central Florida sheriff said his deputies did everything they could to de-escalate situation. Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chidwood said deputies eventually shot the girl after she raised a pump-action shotgun at them, and the boy surrendered with an AK-47. Chidwood said they ran away from a juvenile group home Tuesday night and were heard breaking into a home nearby. Chidwood said deputies shot the girl multiple times and were providing medical aid when the boy surrendered. The girl was in stable condition Wednesday following surgery.
Get your hands up! Okay. Get up on her. Get up on her. Get up on her. Gray, you get that rifle.
Don't reach towards that gun.
Step on that rifle.
Hands up.
Step on that shotgun. Roll it over. Roll it over. Clear her.
Whoever's got a med kit, some type of med kit, I need it up here now in the garage.
A child found dead in a Texas motel room believed to be a boy reported missing in Houston, U.S. Police said that a suspect was arrested. Authorities had been searching for Samuel Olson, who was reported missing on May 27th when police recovered a child's body from a motel room in Jasper, about 215 kilometers northeast of Houston, on a Tuesday night. Investigators believe that the body belongs to Samuel, but are awaiting for official confirmation from a medical examiner who will also determine how and when the child died. The boy would have turned 6 over the weekend. Authorities are now investigating how long Samuel may have been missing and how he ended up in Jasper. Marie said the last confirmed sighting of the boy was at school on April 30th. The girlfriend of the boy's father, Teresa Balboa, said that the boy's mother took him. Police doubted the story.
Investigators were contacted by Jasper Police Department and they were notified.
We'll have to be taking a short break, but we'll be back with more news right after this.
Banyak orang belum memeriksakan kondisi kesehatannya secara rutin.
Juga banyak orang yang kemudian mengkhawatirkan masalah biaya sehingga medical check-up pun urung dilakukan.
Dr. Laser bekerja sama dengan Rumah Sakit Mitra Keluarga memberikan layanan medical check-up kepada Anda, pemirsa Metro TV.
Manfaatkan kesempatan medical check-up screening jantung dan juga screening stroke diskon hingga 50%.
Dan pengumuman kode voucher diskon medical check-up akan ada di akhir acara.
Go healthy, cara tepat, hidup sehat.
Pencapaian media Indonesia sepanjang tahun 2020-2021. Asian Media Awards 2020. Bronze winner. Penghargaan dari Badan Usaha Kemendikbud 2020. Penghargaan dari PT KAI 2020. Indonesia Print Media Awards 2020 and 2021. Penghargaan dari BNPB 2021. Penghargaan dari Badan Bahasa 2021. Indonesia Print Media Awards 2021. Gold winner.
Media Indonesia, a part of Media Group News.
Menuju rehat malam bersama program-program berita Metro TV. Rangkuman berita pilihan hari ini di dalam negeri dan mancanegara.
Saya Iqbal Himawan akan menemani Anda dalam program Top News.
Laporan perkembangan terkini serta dari dunia olahraga.
Jumpa lagi di Metro Sport.
Selamat malam pemirsa Metro Malam kembali hadir menjumpai.
Kami dampingi Anda menutup hari, memastikan malam Anda terisi dengan informasi yang baik dan terkonfirmasi. Metro TV, knowledge to elevate.
Presiden Indonesia pakai motor chopper, bahkan sampai seluruh dunia viral gitu.
Karena ini kepala negara ini ya.
Iya. Saya ke Amerika.
Ikut ajang pameran juga.
Pameran.
Sepeda motor custom ke pesawat custom nyambung. Tapi kalau sapi custom.
Cake Andy, kreasi di atas roda 2. Minggu, 6 Juni, jam 7 malam.
Yang seperti ini dijual berapa harganya?
Harus via WA gitu.
Di arena tinju, Elias Pikal dikenal dengan kecepatan tangan kirinya hingga berhasil menjadi juara tinju profesional. Di arena tinju juga, sang mama kerap memberikan dukungan bagi Eli.
Juara tinju lawan tinju itu saya bangga karena Indonesia satu-satunya yang bisa kasih jatuh lawan Korea untuk menjadi juaranya itu hanya saya sendiri yang bisa menjadi kasih kau lawannya itu.
Saksikan tayangan perdana The Legends, Elias Pikal, Arena Sang Juara, Sabtu 5 Juni jam 7:30 malam. Memiliki berat badan berlebih pada kenyataannya berisiko tinggi mengalami penyakit jantung. Contohnya Siti Rahmah atau Ira.
Berat badan saya saat ini 105 kg. Sejak peningkatan berat badan, timbul keluhan nyeri, sesak di dada. Setelah melakukan pemeriksaan, dokter menyatakan ada pembengkakan jantung, dicurigai adanya penyumbatan di jantung saya.
Go Healthy, gemuk rentan serangan jantung. Jumat 4 Juni, jam 6:30 pagi. Metro Singwen, tayang setiap Senin sampai Jumat jam 7 pagi.
There is a lottery prize for those who received coronavirus vaccination shot in West Virginia, U.S. It will include prizes ranging from hunting rifles to $1 million. The West Virginia Governor Jim Justice said that the first winners will be announced on June 20th, which also marks West Virginia's birthday and Father's Day. It is also the date on which the statewide mask mandate will be lifted. All West Virginia's residents who have received at least one shot are eligible for the lottery. Prizes on that day will include 2 four-year scholarships to any higher education institutions in West Virginia, 2 Rocky Ridge version Ford F-150 trucks, 25 weekend getaway packages to state parks, 5 lifetime hunting and fishing licenses, 5 custom hunting rifles, and 5 hunting shotguns. One person will also receive $1 million. The owner of a small sunflower oil factory in Bulgaria has accused U.S. soldiers of illegally storming his facility during a NATO military exercise last month. The factory owner on Wednesday said that he had filed a lawsuit against those responsible for the incident. He felt offended and humiliated by the drill, which made him and his staff feel like bandits or criminals, even though they are carrying out normal activities. During the swift response 21 drill, soldiers had simulated seizing and securing the decommissioned airfield in southern Bulgaria by entering and clearing bunkers and structures. Bulgarian President Rumen Radev said it was absolutely unacceptable to have the life and calm of Bulgarian citizens put at risk by military units, be they part of the Bulgarian or foreign armed forces. The U.S. Embassy in Sofia offered sincere apologies to the business and its employees. North Korea's animation industry is trying to stay up to date with new films that meld the visuals of multiplayer fighting games to Korean legends. An epic feature broadcast on North Korean television early this year tells a very traditional story with top-notch 3D style effects and attention to detail. This year, the animated feature Oksho Defeats the Devil takes a legend that is common in both North and South throughout the Korean peninsula of a devil in the shape of a fox with 9 tails. The community that has to fight it and renews it for a modern audience with more lifelike characters and movement and features that make it look like the sort of animation that gamers and viewers all over the world can be comfortable with. The story is the same. Kumiho, Korean legend. A devil invades a small community and the devil is actually a fox with 9 tails, a traditional scary adversary in Korean folklore. Faced with the threat, the villagers are split on how to respond, with some of the wise elders saying there is no point trying to resist, but the young leader takes up the fight, rallies the villagers, and defeats the devil, attacking their community.
겁을 먹으면 죽는 길밖에 없어이다. 그놈을 물리치는 길만이 우리 모두가 사는 길이오이다.
Assailants fatally shot a politician belonging to India's ruling party in disputed Kashmir, blaming separatist rebels for the attack. The unidentified assailant fired at Rakesh Pandita late Wednesday in the southern town of Tral, where he was visiting a friend. He was declared dead in a hospital. Rebels in Indian-controlled Kashmir have been fighting the central government for decades. Pandita had a secured accommodation in the region's main city of Srinagar and was protected by 2 police guards, but went to Tral without them. The rebel group has claimed responsibility for the attack. 3 Uyghurs who fled from China to Turkey have described forced abortions and torture by Chinese authorities in China's far western Xinjiang region. They're about to give testimony to a people's tribunal in London, which is investigating if Beijing's action against the Uyghur ethnic group amount to genocide. The 3 witnesses, including a woman who said he was forced into an abortion at 6.5 months pregnant, a former doctor who spoke of draconian birth control policies, and a former detainee who alleged he was tortured day and night by Chinese soldiers while he was imprisoned in the remote borders region. Organizers hope the process of publicly laying out evidence will compel international action. According to researchers, an estimated of 1 million people or more, most of them Uyghurs, have been confined in re-education camps in Xinjiang in recent years. Chinese authorities have been accused of imposing forced labor, systematic forced birth control, and torture, and separating children from incarcerated parents. Beijing has flatly rejected the allegations. One mission named Da Vinci Plus will analyze the thick, cloudy Venusian atmosphere in an attempt to determine whether the Inferno planet ever had an ocean and was possibly habitable. A small craft will plunge through the atmosphere to measure the gases. It will be the first U.S.-led mission to the Venusian atmosphere since 1978. The other mission, called Veritas, will seek geologic history by mapping the rocky planet's surface. These 2 sister missions both aim to understand how Venus became an inferno-like world, capable of melting lead at the surface. These missions aim to give better understanding of how Earth evolved and why it's currently habitable when others in solar systems are not. The missions beat out 2 other proposed projects to Jupiter's moon and Neptune's icy moon Triton. The new Avengers Campus opens in Anaheim, California. We'll be back with this story and more after the break.
Kesehatan itu adalah hal penting yang harus kita jaga loh.
Saat ini, teknologi pun ikut mendukung kesehatan.
Supaya semakin sehat dan bugar.
Bersama para pakar kesehatan, kami mengulas kesehatan yang berbalut teknologi.
Simak Go Healthy di Metro TV.
Konflik antara gajah dengan manusia kerap terjadi. Seperti apa upaya warga desa penyangga hutan Taman Nasional Waikambas hidup berdampingan dan bersahabat dengan gajah?
Mereka membuat kanal seperti ini, kemudian mempunyai kedalaman sekian dan mempunyai lebar sekian. Gajah itu tidak bisa melintasi.
Melihat Indonesia, bersahabat dengan gajah. Minggu, 6 Juni, jam 8:30 pagi.
Tiny home building is a big business.
The architecture is modern and the landscape is very minimalist.
So, you think you're an amazing cook.
My dream is to become a professional chef.
Mau tahu resep rahasia keluarga selebriti?
Ada rasa wanginya juga.
Mau jadi koki andalan di rumah?
When I was about 20 years old, I spent several months traveling through India, and we naturally would be eating Indian food. Cooking is just not a vocation; it's a calling.
Mau cari inspirasi interior?
1, 2, 3. And if you want to live tiny,
less house, more fun.
This is so fun.
It's so cute.
It's so amazing! Oh, that's so cool.
Atau ada niatan renovasi rumah?
All love to create our dream home. The dream becomes reality.
Wow. Dapetin semua inspirasinya di Mola Hour. Senin sampai Jumat, mulai jam 4 hingga jam 6 sore. Hanya di Magna Channel.
Vaksin untuk Indonesia. Setiap Jumat jam 8 malam.
And welcome back. In our top entertainment news tonight, Julianne Moore enters Stephen King's fantasy world in Lizzie's story. And we also take a look inside Disneyland's new Avengers Campus. And Avengers stars Anthony Mackie and Paul Rudd help launch Disneyland's new Avenger Campus. And that's it for World News Tonight. I'm Kania Sutisnawinata. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Lizzie's story is my favorite. It always has been. At its core, this is a love story.
As one of the most prolific writers of our time, Stephen King's works have been mined by Hollywood for decades. But for the first time, King chose to write the scripts himself for the new Apple Limited series adaptation, Lizzie's Story. King has said that the 2006 novel was his favorite and borrows many significant details from his own life and marriage. The psychological horror story focuses on the life of successful fiction writer Scott Landon, played by Clive Owen, who draws characters and plot from a rich fantasy world he visits as a means to escape childhood trauma. He marries Lizzie, played by Julianne Moore, a strong and loyal wife who not only believes the fantasy, but is drawn into it. When Scott is shot by a deranged fan, Lizzie's grief is complicated by family strife and a vengeful, violent stalker. Sound familiar? Executive producer J.J. Abrams has been a fan of King since his youth and has worked with him on other projects, but knew that this series had to be handled just right. Moore carries the narrative, and although it has the classic Stephen King elements of horror, she says it's also a romance. The strong cast, which includes Joan Allen, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Dane DeHaan, have high praise for director Pablo Larraín. He helped Allen get into character as Lizzie's mentally ill sister, who is in a catatonic state for much of the story. Lizzie's Story will start streaming on Apple on June 4. I'm so happy. Avengers, assemble. Now that it's getting safer to assemble, the Avengers are at last descending on Disneyland. A Spider-Man ride that lets visitors blast bots with virtual webs from their bare hands, and a show of strength from the Royal Guard of Wakanda are among the highlights of the new Avengers Campus at Disney's California Adventure Park, whose debut was paused for about a year by the coronavirus pandemic before it opens to the public Friday. The Avengers Campus seeks to be an immersive experience that allows guests to become superheroic across a series of rides, shows, and eateries from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Central to that aim is Web Slingers, a Spider-Man adventure, which combines classic ride structure with an array of cameras that capture guests' body motion and allows them to play Peter Parker. Elsewhere, majestic music blasts to announce the marching arrival of the Dora Milaje, the royal guard that protects T'Challa in Black Panther. The new section was also built to incorporate Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, a drop tower ride with funky tunes in place since 2017.
Of course I escaped!
The storytelling on the Avengers Campus even extends to the food, including an outlet of the shawarma joint that Iron Man suggests his allies hit up after the Battle of New York, depicted in 2012's The Avengers. Is Feige paying me for this? Disney's 2 Anaheim parks reopened with restrictions on April 30 and will reopen at something nearing normal on June 15. Avengers actors Anthony Mackie and Paul Rudd joined Disney executives to launch Disneyland's new Marvel superhero-themed land with fireworks. Disney CEO Bob Chapek, director Jon Favreau, and Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige were also on hand for the event Wednesday night, June 2nd, at Disney California Adventure Park in Anaheim, California. Mackie introduced the new Captain America character who will be seen at the theme park. His Sam Wilson character took on the mantle in the recent Disney Plus series, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Be still, my heart.
I'm so proud to be a part of the cinematic universe and now a part of all this. So with that, it is my honor to introduce, for the first time in Avengers Campus, Captain America.
The Avengers Campus opens to visitors on Friday. I can hardly wait.
Metro TV. Berbagi cerita seputar masalah kesehatan langsung dari sumbernya.
Saya di CAT. Di CAT hasilnya kelihatan bahwa pada penyempitan di pembuluh darah saya 85%.
Itu dokter bilang tekanan darah kamu tinggi.
Sakit di pundak, sakit nyeri sekali. Setelah itu kok lama-lama sampai ke belakang.
Bagaimana cara agar kesehatan kita tetap terjaga? Apa saja solusinya? Saksikan Go Healthy di Metro TV. Kawasan Mangga Besar ternyata menyimpan berbagai kuliner yang lezat. Karena itu, kawasan ini tak pernah sepi dari kunjungan pecinta kuliner. Dan pekan ini, kami ajak Anda mencicipi cita rasa Tionghoa yang istimewa ala Mangga Besar. Tasty and healthy. Jelajah kuliner Tionghoa Mangga Besar. Sabtu 5 Juni jam 7 pagi. Metro Pagi Prime Time, setiap hari live jam 4:30 pagi.
Indonesia tanah air beta, pusaka abadi nan jaya. Indonesia sejak dulu kala tetap dipuja-puja bangsa.
Indonesia tanah air beta, pusaka abadi nan jaya. Indonesia sejak dulu kala tetap dipuja-puja bangsa.
Di sana tempat lahir beta, dibuai dibesarkan bunda, tempat berlindung di hari tua sampai akhir menutup mata, tempat berlindung di hari tua sampai akhir menutup mata.
Metro TV, a part of Media Group News.
Inilah headline news pukul 00 waktu Indonesia Barat. Pemirsa, 4 rumah kontrakan di Bekasi, Jawa Barat hangus terbakar dan seorang penghuni kontrakan luka bakar saat menyelamatkan sang istri. Diduga api dibakar 4 kontrakan akibat dari kompor gas yang meledak saat memasak. 4 rumah kontrakan di Jalan Kemang Sari, Kelurahan Jati Bening Baru, Kecamatan Pondok Gede, Kota Bekasi hangus terbakar Kamis malam. Kebakaran cepat menghanguskan 4 kontrakan yang 2 diantaranya ditempati 2 kepala keluarga. Sementara itu, penghuni kontrakan menjelaskan kebakaran terjadi akibat kompor gas yang meledak saat sang istri tengah memasak. Dirinya yang tengah berada di depan langsung menarik keluar istri dan anaknya karena api langsung membesar hingga membakar 4 rumah kontrakan ini. Setelah 1 jam, api membakar 4 rumah kontrakan ini berhasil dipadamkan petugas dan mengerahkan 2 unit mobil pemadam kebakaran.
1 kontrakan, 4 kontrakan, RT 6, RW 3.
Kita ke Yogyakarta, pemirsa. Polres Bantul akan mendalami laporan terkait adanya warga yang menolak pemakaman jenazah COVID-19 secara protokol kesehatan. Polisi akan menggunakan Undang-Undang Protokol Kesehatan untuk menjerat sang pelaku. Kasat Reskrim Polres Bantul AKP Ngadi menyebutkan polisi tengah mendalami kasus penolakan warga yang menggunakan protokol kesehatan dalam pemakaman seorang jenazah COVID-19. Polisi akan menerapkan Undang-Undang tentang Protokol Kesehatan dan Kekarantinaan Kesehatan 2018. Untuk pasal penghasutan, polisi akan menentukan setelah memanggil terlapor, yakni warga Dusun Lopati, Desa Sri Murti, Kecamatan Serandakan, berinisial ASM. Sebelumnya, kasus penolakan pemakaman jenazah ini terjadi di Dusun Lopati dan pihak keluarga dan warga menghalang-halangi petugas yang hendak memakamkan pasien positif COVID-19 bernama Juwirah secara protokol kesehatan. Dan pada saat petugas hendak memakamkan jenazah, pihak keluarga beserta warga menolak dan meminta jenazah diserahkan kepada keluarga untuk dimakamkan sesuai dengan keinginan keluarga.
Dalami dulu kasusnya, ini kan hari ini baru yang bersangkutan membuat laporan di Polres Bantul. Nanti akan kita minta keterangan para saksinya, bukti dukungnya apa, nanti akan kita tidak lanjuti, kita dalami kasusnya.
Kalau memang kemudian ada hasutan, sanksi apa Pak yang diberikan?
Ya nanti akan kita terapkan dengan undang-undang yang telah tersedia kaitan dengan prokes ini. Sudah ada undang-undang yang mengatur, tentunya kita harus terima dulu laporannya, kita periksa saksi-saksinya, nanti akan kita sampaikan di kemudian hari.
Demikian headline saat ini, pemirsa. Kami akan kembali untuk Anda 1 jam mendatang. Sampai jumpa.
Warnai hari-hari Anda dengan nuansa tayangan kami yang inspiratif,
there is something beautiful in difference,
atraktif,
Orders ready.
penuh ide-ide kreatif,
Oh, that's so cool.
dan yang bakal bikin suasana makin rileks. Semuanya bisa dinikmati di Magna Channel melalui TV digital Anda. Lifestyle, fashion, kuliner, traveling, arsitektur, segala ide kreatif serta hal-hal menarik dari berbagai daerah di Eropa kami hadirkan di ruang keluarga Anda. Euromax setiap Senin jam 7:30 malam.
Vivi Aleda Yahya.
And I'm Ralph Tampubolo. Welcome to Asia Prime. You're watching Metro Globe Network coming to you live from Jakarta. In the next 60 minutes, we have Prime stories coming to you from all over the world. And here are tonight's top stories.
The Indonesian government has decided not to send any pilgrims to perform this year's Hajj in Saudi Arabia due to the COVID-19 pandemic situation.
Mattel Indonesia awarded one of Indonesia's top fashion designers, Ana Avanti, as the 2021 Barbie role model, making her the first Indonesian replicated for the world's popular doll's likeness.
Indonesian pair Vedrik Leonardo and Kiromal Katibin broke the world record in the Speed Climbing World Cup.
We begin with the emergency repair being underway to clean up roads and restore power supply in areas stricken by Tuesday's tornado and hail in Harbin City, northeast China's Heilongjiang province.
The extreme weather trashed the city of Jiangxi for about 30 minutes, wreaking havoc on 4 local townships to varying degrees. 1 person was killed while 16 others were injured. 168 houses and several livestock sheds were reportedly damaged. A total of 243 villagers have been evacuated and resettled. The economic loss was preliminary estimated at 5.12 million yuan, or equals to $795,400 US.
Relevant departments have been assessing the damage, removing obstacles, and conducting emergency repair, including the power facilities, in order to be able to restore the power supply in the region.
A tropical storm left at least 3 people dead and displaced hundreds of villagers in the southern and central Philippines. The storm triggered floods and landslides on Wednesday.
Forecasters said the storm Choi Wan was southwest of central Masbate province early Wednesday, with sustained winds of 65 to 90 kilometers an hour. At least 3 people died after being swept away by strong currents. Coast Guard personnel rescued villagers who were trapped in houses engulfed in rising flood water. More than 2,600 people were displaced in 18 southern villages, and more than 3,000 passengers and cargo handlers were stranded in central and southern seaports after sea travel was suspended. The storm was moving northwestward and may weaken as it blows towards the South China Sea on Thursday.
Salvage experts were attempting to tow a fire-stricken container ship that had been loaded with chemicals into the deep sea as the vessel started to sink Wednesday off Sri Lanka's main port.
Authorities in Sri Lanka try to head off a potential environmental disaster Thursday as a fire-damaged container ship that had been carrying chemicals continues sinking off of the country's main port. The Singapore-flagged MV Express Pearl started sinking Wednesday, a day after authorities extinguished a fire that raged on the vessel for 12 days. Efforts to tow the ship into deeper waters away from the port of Colombo failed after the ship's stern became submerged and rested on the seabed. The ship's operators, Express Feeders, have said the fire destroyed most of the ship's cargo, which included 25 tons of nitric acid and other chemicals as well. On to Myanmar, where dozens of anti-coup protesters held a flash mob rally in Yangon on Thursday, this Yangon being Myanmar's most populous city.
They flashed the 3-fingered salute as they shouted pro-democracy slogans. Resistance to Myanmar's military rule remains widespread 4 months since civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi was removed from power on 1st of February. Quickly dispersing flash mobs have replaced mass demonstrations in previous months because of the deadly response by security forces. The association, which keeps a detailed tally of arrests and deaths since the military takeover, says more than 4,400 people are in detention, including 133 who have already been sentenced. Tensions ran high between supporters of Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his opponents late Wednesday after his rivals announced they have reached a deal to form a new governing coalition.
Protesters from both camps gathered outside a hotel in Far Maccabia in central Israel, where opposition leader Yair Lapid and his main coalition partner Naftali Bennett met with other Netanyahu's rivals to forge the coalition deal. The announcement came shortly before midnight's deadline and prevented the country from plunging into what would have been its fifth consecutive election in just over 2 years. The coalition members are hoping their shared animosity towards Netanyahu, also coupled with the agreement that another election must be avoided, will provide enough incentive to find some common ground.
The head of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, Filipe Lazzarini, visited residents of Sheikh Jarrah in East Jerusalem on Wednesday. Lazzarini said he was committed to oppose their removal.
Lazzarini's visit came as a show of support to the Palestinian residents of the neighborhood where several families are facing the threat of eviction. Israel calls it a real estate dispute, while Palestinians and right groups say the case highlights discriminatory policies that are aimed at pushing Palestinians out of Jerusalem to preserve its Jewish majority. Israeli law allows Jews to reclaim such lands, but bars Palestinians from recovering property they lost in the same war, even if they still reside in areas controlled by Israel. The Sheikh Jarrah issue was one of the issues that triggered for last month's 11-day war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. UNRWA called on Israeli authorities to halt the displacement and protect the rights of Palestinians in Sheikh Jarrah.
During the 11-day war between Israel and Hamas, farmers in Gaza could not reach their land. Their crops was burned due to the Israeli shelling and leave families deprived of their entire source of income.
Some farmers are losing more than half of their wheat and barley fields. On May 14th, in the middle of the war, artillery shells landed on the field and fire spread quickly. Fire raged from morning through late afternoon while firefighters could not reach the area. Farmers call the war as destruction and inferno and has turned everything into ashes. According to the Ministry of Agriculture in Gaza, 490 agricultural facilities, including animal farms, plastic agricultural houses, wells, and irrigation lines, were all damaged during the war. Moving on to the United States, where a large police presence was seen in Wilmington in the state of Delaware Wednesday after 3 officers were shot when they responded to a call.
Dozens of police cars, fire trucks, and a SWAT team were on the scene after the shooting around 10:30 p.m. local time. The 3 officers were transported to a hospital in stable condition, Wilmington police said in a statement. Police did not say anything about a suspect in the shooting or whether any arrests have been made. The shooting remains under investigation. A Central Florida sheriff said his deputies did everything they could to de-escalate the situation after a 14-year-old girl and a 12-year-old boy broke into a home, found weapons, and repeatedly fired at officers.
Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood says deputies eventually shot the girl after she raised a pump-action shotgun at them, and the boy surrendered with an AK-47. Chitwood says they ran away from a juvenile group home Tuesday and were heard breaking into a home nearby. Also saying deputies shot the girl multiple times and were providing medical aid when the boy surrendered. The girl was in stable condition Wednesday following surgery. And stay with us for more stories coming your way, including one hidden paradise. Tell us where it is.
Well, it's in the jungle of Zambor, outskirts Manggarai, East Nusa Tenggara. You'll find a hidden paradise of Nukalale Land. More after this. Stay with us on Metro Globe Network.
Pemirsa, tidak ada bosan-bosannya kami selalu mengajak Anda untuk selalu peduli tentang jantung dan juga stroke.
Untuk itulah, kami juga senantiasa menghadirkan narasumber yang dapat menjadi pembelajaran bagi Anda dan juga keluarga.
Dr. Laser dan Rumah Sakit Mitra Keluarga Kalideres mengundang Anda untuk melakukan medical check-up screening jantung dan juga stroke dengan diskon 50%.
Saksikan terus Go Healthy setiap hari jam 6.30 waktu Indonesia Barat, dan pengumuman kode voucher diskon medical check-up akan Anda dapatkan pada akhir acara. Go Healthy, cara tepat hidup sehat.
Bagi peradaban, teknologi menjadi sahabat perubahan. Juga bagi kami. Dengan teknologi, kami memastikan setiap informasi tersampaikan dengan baik. Sehingga Anda tak hanya mendengar dan melihat, tapi juga merasakan tiap berita yang kami persembahkan. Metro TV, knowledge to elevate.
Karena corona masih ada, terus pakai masker. Jangan lupa cuci tangan pakai sabun. Terus jaga jarak di mana saja.
Hindari juga kerumunan biar aman.
Batasi kegiatan di luar rumah, jangan kendor protokol kesehatan. Vaksin untuk Indonesia.
Welcome back to Asia Prime. Indonesia has cancelled the Hajj pilgrimage this year due to Saudi Arabia not opening access just yet to the Hajj pilgrimage. This decision was made by the government through the Ministry of Religious Affairs today. This following is a direct report from our reporter Gemma Tanjung and cameraman Dirham Shah.
Of Religious Affairs of the Republic Indonesia officially cancelled the departure of the Hajj this year, year 1440 Hijriah. The Minister of Religious Affairs, Yakut Khalil Qauma, says this decision was made in Regulation number 660. Consists of Indonesia government will remain focused on maintaining the safety and health of Indonesia Hajj pilgrim, especially since the COVID-19 has a new variant from India. This decision is applicable today on Thursday, 3rd June. This decision was also taken after a long discussion between the Ministry of Religion and the House of Representatives of Republic Indonesia since 24th December on 2020. The chairman of the House of Representatives in Commission 8, Yandri Susanto, says his party has created a work committee to discuss this problem, viewing the condition of the pandemic, which has not improved. This decision to cancel Hajj departure this year is eventually taken. Additionally, the state of the Saudi Arabia also have not provided guarantee of Indonesian citizens can enter to Saudi Arabia. The Minister of Religious Affairs ensured that the fake news circular about Indonesia has debt to Saudi Arabia, which caused this unfortunate event, is not true. The management of the Hajj financial funds also make sure that all the funds have been deposited and saved. All the funds are invested in Sharia banks. But the member of the fund management also said that all the Indonesia Hajj pilgrims can have all their money back and the members will help. From Jakarta reporting, Gemma Tanjung, Dirham Shah, Metro TV.
Deep inside the jungle of Sambor, in the outskirts of Manggarai, East Nusa Tenggara, you will find a hidden paradise of Nukalale Land. Located in the west side of Flores Island, this breathtaking natural landscape is called Tengku Siwa. Yohanes Manashe has more.
The Tengku Siwa landscape is naturally formed from stone cliffs that are 80 meters high and 40 meters wide. The landscape is covered with green moss and trailing jungle plants. Water flows from the edge of the cliff and ends in a pool. When the rainy season comes, the water volume increases and the pool is deeper. While in the summer, you can see the beautiful shining yellowish green moss. You can also enjoy the water drops from above while sitting on the big rocks by the edge of the pool. You can also take a dip in the pool while enjoying the flores endemic birds. It's a 2-hour ride to get here, 40 kilometers away from Rio City in Manggarai Regency. But beware of the bumpy roads ahead along the Kedindi Kajong Sambor Road. The local government is doing its best to develop this brand new tourist destination. They will allocate village funds to open new roads without reducing the size of the walking track along the Sambor jungle. When visiting, do keep the environment clean. You can also interact with the locals, the heroes who keep the Sambor national landscape fascinating. From Manggarai, East Nusa Tenggara, Yohanes Manashe for Metro Globe Network.
A street located in Gresik, East Java recently went viral on social media. Netizens say it looks quite similar to the well-known Malioboro Street in Yogyakarta. Here's more.
The street is located in common village of Sidayu district in Gresik, Regency, East Java. It used to be a shopping district, but now has been transformed into a city park by local government. The park, known as Taman Ekspresi Desa Kauman, is free of charge. At a glance, it does look like Malioboro Street in Yogyakarta because its wide pavement and performances of street musicians, including a traditional angklung show. Street vendors and classic design of city lights will also remind us of the Malioboro vibe. Most visitors say they came to the park out of curiosity after seeing it on social media. To transform the compound, the local government spent 190 million rupiah. The park regularly hosts exhibitions of local products made by the small-scale enterprises of surrounding villages. The exhibition management says sales have increased 90% after the park went viral on social media. From Gresik, East Java, Solihul Huda for Metro Globe Network.
South Sulawesi is known for the many breathtaking natural sceneries. One of them is Talatala pine forest located in the mountainous terrain of Maros Regency is one of the province's gems.
Talatala is the name of a pine forest at Bontomanai village in Tompobulu district, South Sulawesi. It has been open for public for 4 months, but is still under development. Located in a 5-acre area, it has breathtaking scenic views. It is laid on the hilly terrain of Maros Regency in the midst of fresh mountain air. There are plenty of selfie spots, including one that's a favorite for visitors, the Treehouse. It is a kid-friendly compound and is ideal for those who would like to set camp and spend the night. The forest used to be a pine sapping location for villagers who are now doing their best to developing its potential as a new tourist site. It is able to be the villagers' source of income and reduce unemployment. To get here, it takes a 30-minute drive from the city of Maros or 1 hour from Makassar. Compared to other similar tourist spots, Talatala is the nearest from the city. You are also required to stick with health protocols during your visit here. From Maros, South Sulawesi, Ahmad Fahmi for Metro Globe Network.
Well, Indonesia says to Barbie, meet Ana Avanti. Mattel Indonesia awarded one of Indonesia's top fashion designers, Ana Avanti, as the 2021 Barbie role model, making her the first Indonesian replicated for the world's popular doll's likeness. Avanti, popular for her fashion designs, propagates Indonesia's traditional details and outfits such as the modified kebaya. Her designs are often worn by Indonesia's representatives for Miss Universe competitions and other public figures as well. And she's also popular as a social activist. The award is presented for the world's extraordinary women, honored with a doll in their likeness. Those women have extraordinary achievements in their fields of expertise. Its aim is to use the role models' past and present examples to inspire more women. Anne's doll replicates her wearing kebaya and batik scarves, complete with traditional hairdo known as konde, decorated with frangipani. The latest awardees of the Barbie role model include Malaysian artist gymnast Farah Ann Abdul Hadi, Russian engineer and cosmonaut Anna Kikina, and Japanese photographer Mika Ninagawa.
Segala kerendahan hati saya merasakan begitu besar anugerah Tuhan yang sudah Tuhan karuniakan untuk kehidupan saya menjadi salah satu wanita di Indonesia.
Indonesian pair Vedrik Leonardo and debutant Kiromal Katibin broke the world record in the Speed Climbing World Cup. In the first race of qualifying rounds, Indonesian debutant Kiromal Katibin and the climber from Pontianak Vedrik Leonardo both claimed a world record. But when the Indonesian pair came up against each other in the finals, the 3,000-strong crowd knew they were about to see a masterpiece. Leonardo raced up the wall, besting his teammate and breaking the world record for the third time that day. Swinging from the safety rope, the 24-year-old punched the air in celebration while Katibin clapped his teammate in appreciation.
Ready? Come on, boy, show us what you got. We're moving as fast as lightning in the close race. Vedrik Leonardo takes it barely 5.2.
Asia-Pacific markets were mostly higher on Thursday's trade after the Chinese services activity and Australia's retail sales data were released. Mercy Wijaya has more of the economy report.
Shares in Asia-Pacific were mostly higher in Thursday trade as investors react to data releases in China and Australia. A private survey released on Thursday showed slowing Chinese services activity growth in May. The Caixin and Market Services Purchasing Managers Index for May came in at 55.1, lower than the ratings of 56.3 in April 2021. Still, that was well above the 50 level that separates expansion from contraction. In April, Australia's retail sales rose 1.1% month-on-month on a seasonally adjusted basis, according to data released by the country's Bureau of Statistics. Meanwhile, Jakarta Stock Exchange Composite Index were flat on Thursday due to profit-taking actions by foreign investors, as IDX Composite gained almost 5% this week. From Jakarta, I'm Mercy Wijaya reporting for Asia Prime Metro Globe Network.
The European Union unveiled plans to revamp Europe's ID check-free travel area. More on this after this on Asia Prime.
Memiliki berat badan berlebih pada kenyataannya berisiko tinggi mengalami penyakit jantung. Contohnya Siti Rahmah atau Ira.
Berat badan saya saat ini 105 kg. Sejak peningkatan berat badan, timbul keluhan nyeri, sesak di dada. Setelah melakukan pemeriksaan, dokter menyatakan ada pembengkakan jantung, dicurigai adanya penyumbatan di jantung saya.
Go Healthy, gemuk rentan serangan jantung. Jumat 4 Juni, jam 6:30 pagi. Tegakah Anda mengkhianati cintanya dengan menjadi koruptor? Sayangi ibu, hindari korupsi. Saksikan live streaming Metro TV dan dapatkan informasi secara lengkap dengan video berkualitas high definition di kanal metrotvnews.com dan medcom.id. Informasi yang cepat dan akurat kini berada di tangan Anda. Dengan tampilan dan fitur terbaru, aplikasi metrotvnews.com memberikan Anda pengalaman baru mengikuti setiap informasi. Lebih update, lebih banyak video, live TV, dan tayangan program-program Metro TV bisa Anda tonton secara lengkap. Nikmati mudahnya menonton berita dalam gawai Anda. Download sekarang.
Budapest's Puskás Ferenc Stadium has been selected as the venue for 4 matches in the European Soccer Championship 2020.
Malala Yousafzai was revealed as the cover star of the July issue of British Vogue Tuesday. Here is the full story.
U.S. President Joe Biden left Washington Wednesday local time for a rare midweek beach getaway.
The European Union unveiled plans to revamp Europe's ID check-free travel area. The new strategy aims to further beef up Europe's external borders through the Frontex border agency and a state-of-the-art digitalized entry and exit system to keep an eye on who enters or leaves. The travel zone, known as the Schengen Area, is made up of 26 countries, 22 EU member states, plus Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, and Switzerland. Coronavirus restrictions place new strains on tourism, travel, and business throughout the bloc over the last year. Around 420 million people live in the Schengen zone. Almost 1.7 million people reside in one Schengen state and work in the other. While an estimated 3.5 million people cross what were once permanent border crossings every day, normally, people and goods move freely between these countries without border checks. But panicked Italy's coronavirus outbreak in February last year, some Schengen countries imposed border restrictions without consulting their neighbors to try to keep the disease out, causing massive traffic jams and blocking medical equipment.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is planning to end coronavirus restrictions on June 21st as planned, but said a final decision would depend on infection rates. Johnson says scientists needed a little more time before advising if it was safe for remaining restrictions to be lifted.
I can see nothing in the data at the moment that means we can't go ahead with step 4 or the opening on June the 21st. But we've got to be so cautious because there's no question the ONS data of infection rates is showing an increase. We always knew that was going to happen. Don't forget, we always said that the unlocking steps that we've taken would lead to increases in infection. What we need to work out is to what extent the vaccination program has protected enough of us, particularly the elderly and vulnerable, against a new surge. And there, I'm afraid, the data is just still ambiguous.
Croatia began using COVID certificates on its borders for people entering the country. The certificates are being issued to people who are fully vaccinated, as well as those who have already contracted the virus and developed antibodies, and others who have had a PCR test within the last 72 hours. Other EU countries like Greece, Germany, Bulgaria, the Czech Republic, Denmark, and Poland have similar schemes for a vaccination certificate system for travelers, weeks ahead of the July 1st rollout of the program across the 27-nation bloc. Countries will be allowed to add extra vaccines to their individual entry list, including those that have not been formally approved for use across the EU. The EU Commission believes that people who are vaccinated should no longer have to be tested or put into quarantine regardless of where they are traveling to or from, starting 14 days after receiving their second shot. Member countries, however, have not yet endorsed that recommendation.
On to the United States, where tourists are enjoying Las Vegas once again as everything is getting back to normal. Governor of Nevada says the state's economy is fully reopened. Tourists could be seen enjoying the sights of Vegas Tuesday night. Tourists begin to walk around, taking off their masks, and large gatherings will again be allowed. However, the city urges residents and visitors to continue observing CDC guidelines regarding mask wearing and social distancing. As of June 1st, Las Vegas' COVID-19 restrictions were fully lifted for visitors. All restaurants, stores, and casinos allowed to return to operate at 100% capacity. And with a full reopening, the state of Nevada has eliminated the ban on surge pricing for rideshare services, which the state had put in place to prevent price gouging during the pandemic.
Budapest Puskás Ferenc Stadium has been selected as the venue of 4 matches of the European Soccer Championship 2020. Budapest will host 3 group matches and a round of 16 match. The Executive Committee of the Union of European Football Association announced in Geneva, Switzerland.
Hungary's capital Budapest is set to host 4 matches at the upcoming Euro 2020 tournament this summer. Other hosts of the tournament will be held in London, Munich, Rome, St. Petersburg, Amsterdam, Bucharest, Bilbao, Brussels, Copenhagen, Dublin, and Glasgow. The final and the semi-final will be played in Wembley Stadium. Returning from Geneva, Sándor Szányi, the president of Hungarian Football Association, said the Hungary's recent sport diplomacy achievements had given the Mills every reason to hope that the bid would be accepted. He noted that Hungary has hosted a FIFA and the Union of European Football Associations Congress, as well as an Under-19 European Soccer Championship recently. By 2018, Puskás Ferenc Stadium in Hungary will have been renovated and extended to a capacity of 68,000 people. Once the new arena have been completed, Hungary will bid to organize a Champions League for European League final. A blockbuster clash between Kylian Mbappe and Cristiano Ronaldo is scheduled for 23rd June when France face Portugal in Hungarian capital. The Group C winner will play their round of 16 match in Budapest, Hungary on 27 June.
More stories coming your way, including a man with many names. Anthony Mackie, a.k.a. Sam Wilson, a.k.a. the Falcon, a.k.a. Captain America, and Paul Rudd, a.k.a. Scott Lang, a.k.a. Ant-Man, helped launch Avengers Campus at Disneyland. Stay with us.
Media Indonesia lebih dari sekadar surat kabar, hadir melalui beragam platform, cetak, e-paper, dan online. Dengan program di media sosial yang kuat dalam konten dan pengembangan bisnis yang terarah. Dapatkan informasi lengkap melalui 51 tahun Media Indonesia, Reka Cipta Indonesia. Momen terbaik Ibu Susi di Susi Cek Ombak.
Yang membuat dunia politik menarik untuk Bapak ini apa, Pak? Kopiku saya tenggelamin.
Ini waktu Bu Susi lagi random banget. Nah, kalau ini pas ngerjain menteri.
Dekat apa dengan Pak Sandi dan Pak Erick? Boleh ditelepon?
Ya, nggak ada yang ngangkat nih, teleponnya kacau.
Siap Ibu host, saya lupa.
Susi Cek Ombak, setiap Rabu jam 8 malam.
Buka pikiran Anda, perluas wawasan, dapatkan sudut pandang baru dari sosok-sosok inspiratif.
Unlock with Billy Boone, setiap Sabtu di pekan terakhir setiap bulannya. Editorial Media Indonesia, opini surat kabar terpercaya hadir di pagi hari Anda. Membahas isu secara tajam dan mengulas peristiwa dengan lebih mendalam. Tampil matang dengan dialog interaktif. Mengajak Indonesia menyikapi permasalahan bangsa dengan terukur dan cerdas. Editorial Media Indonesia, Senin sampai Sabtu, live jam 7:30 pagi. Nikmati Metro TV HD di saluran digital Anda.
Ayo semuanya, dukung migrasi TV digital. Bersih gambarnya, jernih suaranya, dan canggih teknologinya.
Malala Yousafzai was revealed as the cover star of the July issue of British Vogue Tuesday. Here is the full story.
The Pakistani activist for female education Malala Yousafzai talked to British Vogue about her campaigning plans for the future, as well as life, love, family, and the world she left behind. The 23-year-old Oxford University graduate announced in March that she has partnered with Apple TV Plus in an exclusive multi-year content deal to develop dramas, documentaries, comedies, animation, and series for kids. Yousafzai has added television producer to her list of accolades, which includes being the youngest winner of the Nobel Peace Prize in 2014 for working to protect children from slavery, extremism, and child labor. She risked her life by speaking out in her home country of Pakistan, insisting that girls have a right to an education. Shot in the head by a Taliban gunman while riding a school bus at age 15, she survived the attack and went on to fight for girls worldwide. See the full feature in the July issue of British Vogue, available via digital download and on newsstands Friday, June 4th. I know I will.
Kelly Osbourne is opening up about her battles with drug and alcohol addiction, stopping by Red Table Talk to discuss getting hooked as a teen and relapsing after the pandemic.
Getting sick, and I had a really bad case of
TV personality Kelly Osbourne said she ended almost 4 years of sobriety in April 2021 as the COVID-19 pandemic was waning, triggered into drinking alcohol again after seeing a couple sipping champagne.
So what environment were you in, Kelly, when you took your first drink in your relapse, when you relapsed?
I was alone, sitting by a pool, and waiting for somebody to come have a meeting with me, and I saw that this woman and her husband had a glass of champagne and it looked really nice, and I was like, oh, I can do that too.
Wow.
Osbourne also told the hosts, Jada Pinkett Smith, her daughter Willow Smith, and her mother, Adrienne Banfield Norris, about the origins of her addictions. Her first opiate-based drug addiction was with Vicodin, which was prescribed to her after an operation to remove her tonsils when she was 13, sending her on a lifelong battle. Osbourne added that Vicodin led to her misusing Percocet to eventually heroin because it was cheaper. Osbourne has discussed her drug and alcohol battles before on several interviews, her 2017 memoir, and on podcasts like Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert. She has said her drug use became the heaviest during her mother's cancer battle, and after her father, Crazy Train singer Ozzy Osbourne, almost died after an ATV accident in 2003. Red Table Talk has recently made headlines with its interview with Olivia J. Giannulli and when Pinkett Smith and her husband, Will Smith, discussed their marriage.
Grammy-nominated rapper DaBaby is being questioned by Miami Beach police regarding a shooting that wounded 2 people, officials said Tuesday local time.
Jonathan Kirk, DaBaby's legal name, was one of many people being questioned by officials on Tuesday. As Miami Beach police spokesman Ernesto Rodriguez says no arrests have been made, but said earlier that several possible suspects had been detained. The shooting wrapped up a violent Memorial Day weekend in the Miami area as police received multiple 911 calls reporting the shooting just after 11:30 p.m. on Monday. Officers found one person struck in the shoulder and another in the leg. Police have not released the identities of those wounded. One was treated at a hospital and released, while the second remains in the hospital in critical condition.
The shooting took place on Ocean Drive, a popular strip of restaurants and hotels in South Beach. During the investigation, the heavily traveled MacArthur Causeway nearby was shut down in both directions. DaBaby was arrested earlier this year in Los Angeles. Beverly Hills police said he took a loaded gun into an upscale store on Radio Drive. The North Carolina rapper's song Rockstar was one of the biggest hits of 2020 and was nominated for a Grammy Award for Record of the Year. U.S. President Joe Biden left Washington Wednesday local time for a rare midweek beach getaway.
The President and First Lady Jill Biden are heading to their Delaware beach house to celebrate the First Lady's milestone birthday on Thursday. The Bidens bought a home in the Delaware resort town of Rehoboth Beach back in 2017 and has spent most weekends there since Biden took office in January at their home in Wilmington, Delaware. The Bidens are due back at the White House on Friday and are scheduled to leave again next week for their first overseas trip.
Anthony Mackie, a.k.a. Sam Wilson, a.k.a. the Falcon, a.k.a. Captain America, and Paul Rudd, a.k.a. Scott Lang, a.k.a. Ant-Man, helped launch Avengers Campus at Disneyland. And for the first time, Stephen King chose to write the scripts himself for the new Apple Limited Series adaptation, Lizzie's Story.
Avengers actors Anthony Mackie and Paul Rudd joined Disney executives to launch Disneyland's new Marvel superhero-themed land with fireworks. Disney CEO Bob Chapek, director Jon Favreau, and Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige were also on hand for the event Wednesday night local time at Disney California Adventure Park in Anaheim, California. Feige said the Avengers Campus would change over time as the Marvel Cinematic Universe evolves. Mackie introduced the new Captain America character, who will be seen at the theme park. His Sam Wilson character took on the mantle in the recent Disney Plus series, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The Avengers Campus opens to visitors on Friday.
Lizzie's story is my favorite. It always has been. At its core, this is a
As one of the most prolific writers of our time, Stephen King's works have been mined by Hollywood for decades. But for the first time, King chose to write the scripts himself for the new Apple Limited Series adaptation, Lizzie's Story.
Stepping out. When I came home,
King has said that the 2006 novel was his favorite and borrows many significant details from his own life and marriage. The psychological horror story focuses on the life of successful fiction writer Scott Landon, played by Clive Owen, who draws characters and plot from a rich fantasy world he visits as a means to escape childhood trauma.
and came really close to.
He marries Lizzie, played by Julianne Moore, a strong and loyal wife who not only believes the fantasy, but is drawn into it. When Scott is shot by a deranged fan, Lizzie's grief is complicated by family strife and a vengeful, violent stalker. Sound familiar? Executive producer J.J. Abrams has been a fan of King since his youth and has worked with him on other projects, but knew that this series had to be handled just right. Moore carries the narrative, and although it has the classic Stephen King elements of horror, she says it's also a romance. The strong cast, which includes Joan Allen, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Dane DeHaan, have high praise for director Pablo Larraín. Lizzie's Story will start streaming on Apple on June 4.
Oh no, it's real. Clive Owen, Julianne Moore, I'm in.
And Stephen King, always attractive.
And speaking of Stephen King, he has done stories with clowns, prisons, except one thing, pandas.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Well, panda lovers now have a new place outside the Chengdu Breeding Center to adore the lovable creature, the Kingling Panda Breeding Research Center in northwest China's Jiangxi Province, China. And more on this, stay with us on Asia Prime, only on Metro Globe Network.
Tiny home building is a big business.
The architecture is modern and the landscape is very minimalist.
So, you think you're an amazing cook.
My dream is to become a professional chef.
Mau tahu resep rahasia keluarga selebriti?
Ada rasa wanginya juga.
Mau jadi koki andalan di rumah?
When I was about 20 years old, I spent several months traveling through India. You naturally would be eating Indian food. Cooking is just not a vocation, it's a calling.
Mau cari inspirasi interior?
1, 2, 3.
And if you want to live tiny,
Less house. More fun.
This is so fun.
It's so cute.
It's so amazing. Oh, that's so cool.
Atau ada niatan renovasi rumah?
All love to create our dream home. The dream becomes reality.
Wow. Dapetin semua inspirasinya di Mola Hour. Senin sampai Jumat, mulai jam 4 hingga jam 6 sore. Hanya di Makna Channel.
Selama tidak menjaga lingkungan, jangan mimpi lihat yang indah. Kurangi sampah dari rumah mulai sekarang.
Bincang-bincang seputar dunia kreatif, ide, dan inspirasi pekerja kreatif, baik dari Indonesia maupun Amerika. Kami suguhkan spesial untuk Anda.
Ketemu lagi dengan saya Naratama di sini. Program ini kita akan mengupas berbagai macam cerita di balik layar.
Kreatif Talk, setiap hari Senin dan Selasa, mulai 15 Februari, jam 6:30 malam. Hanya di Makna Channel.
Berita Metro TV hadir sepanjang hari. Suguhan paling hangat menemani Anda membuka pagi.
Halo, selamat pagi pemirsa. Anda kembali menyaksikan Metro Pagi Prime Time.
Menaati protokol kesehatan dalam melaporkan informasi. Tak hanya untuk saling menjaga antara kami, tapi juga sebagai pengingat Anda sebelum memulai ragam aktivitas dalam sehari. Metro TV, knowledge to elevate.
Britain will celebrate Queen Elizabeth II's 70 years on the throne with 4 days of festivities, beginning with her ceremonial birthday parade on June 2nd.
Buckingham Palace on Wednesday announced the schedule of public events and community activities to mark the 95-year-old monarch's Platinum Jubilee, which will be celebrated over a special 4-day holiday weekend next year. The celebration will kick off with the first full staging of Trooping the Colour, a parade of more than 1,400 soldiers marking the Queen's official birthday since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. A Thanksgiving service will be held at St. Paul's Cathedral to mark her 70 years on the throne. And there will also be a live concert billed as the Platinum Party at the Palace, which the government says will feature some of the world's biggest entertainment stars.
North Korea's animation industry is trying to stay up to date with the new films that melt the visuals of multiplayer fighting games to Korean legends. An epic feature broadcast on North Korean television early this year tells a very traditional story with a top-notch 3D style effect and attention to detail.
This year, the animated feature Show Defeats the Devil takes a legend that is common in both North and South throughout the Korean peninsula of a devil in the shape of a fox with 9 tails, and the community that has to fight it and renews it for a modern audience with more lifelike characters and movement and features that make it look like the sort of animation that gamers and also viewers all over the world can be comfortable with. Same story is the same. Kumiho, Korean legend, a devil invades a small community, and the devil is actually a fox with 9 tails, a traditional scary adversary in Korean folklore. Faced with a threat, the villagers are split as to how to respond, with some of the wise elders saying there's no point trying to resist, but the young leader takes up the fight, rallies the villagers, and defeats the devil attacking their community.
겁을 먹으면 죽는 길밖에 없어이다. 그 놈을 물리치는 길만이 우리 모두가 사는 길이오이다.
A herd of 15 wild Asian elephants has entered the outskirts of the major southwestern Chinese city of Kunming, Yunnan province, where local authorities are on high alert to ensure the safety of both citizens and the herd.
The elephants traveled approximately 500 kilometers from their forest home in Yunnan Xishuangbanna Autonomous Prefecture before reaching Jining district in Kunming, the provincial capital, Wednesday. As of early Thursday, no casualties have been reported, according to a local headquarters set up to ensure the safety of the elephant migration. The Provincial Forestry and Grassland Bureau has transferred teams responsible for drone monitoring and emergency handling, as well as Asian elephant experts. The teams will forecast the migration route and guide locals to take precautions. 12 drones have been deployed to monitor the herd around the clock, while construction trucks have been sent to block roads to local villages, and the evacuation of villagers has been organized.
Panda lovers now have a new place outside the Chengdu Breeding Center to adore the lovable creature. The Kinling Panda Breeding Research Center in northwest China, Jiangxi Province, China. From Friday, the public will be able to see 10 to 15 pandas, including one of the world's only brown panda raised in captivity.
The Kinling Panda Breeding Research Center announced last week that it will be open to the public May 28th, where 10 to 15 pandas, 50 crested ibis, 8 snub-nosed monkeys, and 20 takins will make their public debuts, in addition to 20 other species of rare wild animals. One of them is the world's only brown panda bred in captivity, an extremely rare subspecies found in the Kinling area. So far, only 5 have been found in the area. Unlike the familiar nominated subspecies in Chengdu, northwest China's Sichuan province, the Kinling pandas look more like cats, with smaller skulls and overall sizes, while the former are more like bears. And they also have differently colored furs. The Kinling pandas have dark and light brown furs rather than the commonly seen black and white.
目前还是过着群居生活。
Black and white, brown, pandas nonetheless, they're cute.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm just happy they're safe, you know.
Yeah, we got to just continue to protect and preserve the pandas for many to see.
Okay, then.
That will actually wrap things up here on Asia Prime. I'm Ralph Tampubolon.
And I'm Fifi Aledayahia. We hope to see you again tomorrow on Friday edition of Asia Prime, only on Metro Globe Network. Have a good evening.
See you tomorrow.
Metro TV.
Pemirsa, Metro TV menyelenggarakan pelatihan jurnalistik untuk tetaplah bersama kami di Breaking News Metro TV.
Dengarkan Metro TV di radio, more than just news. Streaming sekarang di metrotvnews.com dan medcom.id.
Lifestyle, fashion, kuliner, traveling, arsitektur. Segala ide kreatif serta hal-hal menarik dari berbagai daerah di Eropa kami hadirkan di ruang keluarga Anda. Euromax setiap Senin jam 7:30 malam.